Thank you very much, Catherine. This is the picture that I've been displaying today. I'm the cute one at the top of the picture. It's my lovely mum, and here are my two older terrorist brothers. They gave me a very hard time when I was small, even though I pleaded that I had a disability, but they didn't take much notice of that. We're still here is at the top, and that is demonstrated amply today by the massive turnout of all of you, and I'm so grateful that you've turned up, because when you come down to Parliament and you advocate for something, you're one of thousands of groups who are trying to get the attention of very busy members of Parliament who might have 50 things on their mind at any one time, and will they focus on your particular problem? By being here en masse and being such a physical presence in the Parliament, we are actually raising our profile enormously, and there's a better chance that the Parliament and decision makers will take notice of us and start funding us properly. I'd like to particularly thank the parliamentary patrons who have stayed with us for so long, in particular the Honourable Catherine King, who has just spoken. She was one of our first parliamentary patrons. Her mother had had polio. She fully understood the condition and was very happy to be the patron. She's been an enormous help all the way through, and in launching this module today, that's just another example of that, and we really thank you for doing that, Catherine, and for your time. The Honourable Greg Hunt is another one of our parliamentary patrons who's given us terrific advice over the years. Mark Coulton and his staff, particularly on this occasion with the organisation of this massive event, have done some marvellous things for us behind the scenes, and it would not have happened without that. And Jill Hall, the government whip, has been incredibly helpful over the years in facilitating a whole range of meetings and just helping the whole process flow. It was perhaps an accident, but we did actually manage to get two whips, one from each side, and that's been very, very helpful in whipping various MPs along when we've needed it. But it's been a big campaign, and we've come an incredible distance since we started this. When we first came down here, there was just our merry little band. There wasn't this number, it was just three of us. And we turned up to talk about the late effects of polio, and people said to us, polio? Didn't we fix that about 30 years ago? And they were totally unaware of the condition of late effects of polio. Well, things have changed now. After establishing the patrons, we established the Parliamentary Friends of Polio Survivors, and we've had functions with quite a lot of MPs, spreading the word that we have a need. We are still here. But I think the most exciting thing that we've done is last year we managed to convince the Health and Ageing, no, it was earlier this year, the Health and Ageing Committee of the House of Representatives to conduct an inquiry into the needs of polio survivors. And that was just pure gold, because we had a full day hearing, we had 6 members of the committee cross-examine the witnesses. There's a great turn-up crowd like this, mainly from Polio Victoria, on the day in Melbourne. And we had 70 pages of evidence on Hansard outlining the condition. We had a First Assistant Secretary from the Department of Health. He had to come and speak on the day, but he spent the whole day there and took notes. First Assistant Secretaries are very important people in the bureaucracy, let me assure you. They're very senior in the bureaucracy of health. And so, as well as the Parliament, we're actually spreading the message very much into the Parliament of Health, in the Department of Health. The inquiry came up with 3 major recommendations. And given that it's got the backing of the Parliament, this is what we're going to push as hard as we can to make sure we get recognition of this condition. We all have a condition, those of us that have had polio, where the deterioration rate is 2 to 5% a year for us. We're not going to go away as a problem to the health system. What we're going to do over the next 30 years is go to the pharmacist a lot more, and cost the government a lot more on the PBS. We're going to go to GPs much more, and I tell you, as most of them don't understand the condition, we'll keep going around different GPs, and that'll cost the government a fortune as we get over-serviced because we can't find the right advice. Obviously with the allied health professionals as well, the same sort of thing. We'll spend more time in hospital, that'll cost a lot of money, and because our condition is not managed properly, we're going to be spending a lot more or a lot less time in the workforce. Fortunately, because I've been managing my condition for 14 years, I'm now almost 67, I'm still in the workforce, I'm still paying taxes. And if you keep us in the workforce paying taxes, Treasurer will find it a lot easier to balance that budget. There's money coming in to help him balance it, and on the other side, we won't be costing as much. So it has that, certainly has that benefit as well. If we are, those of us who are not in wheelchairs yet, a lot of us will end up there in wheelchairs, but it'll be possibly 10 years later than it might have been if we hadn't managed this condition properly. It's absolutely essential that people understand how to self-manage this condition. That's the difference between deteriorating at 2% a year and deteriorating at 5% a year. Go 10 years, that's a massive difference to where you'll be in that time. But we can't do this without programs, we can't do this without funding. We've worked miracles with virtually no resources. We've had private philanthropy. We've had companies like GlaxoSmithKline, whose staff produced that module in their own time. They were expert doctors, they did this in their own time for us. And the Neil Balmaves Foundation has given us money to keep employing Mary Ann. We certainly need to keep... For one more year. Yeah, for one more year, then it runs out. And they said, well, in that time, of course, the government will fund you by the end of that. So that's certainly what I'm hoping for. But the whole organisation is running virtually on volunteer effort. I'd like to pay special tribute to Gillian Thomas, who has spent 20 years doing this. Now, Gillian has partial use of one arm. Now, if most of us, and that's it, if most of us were virtually quadriplegic, I don't think we'd be charging down to Canberra every few months. Most people would sit at home, but not Gillian. She's out there, she's fighting for our cause. She's done it for 20 years, and she's not discouraged by the fact that after 5 years the government has given us nothing. She is determined to keep going till we do. It's a great roll up here today, and we're asking you all next year to bring 2 or 3 friends with you each, and then we'll have a really unique group. So, it's been a great start to what's going to be a great day, and we wish you well meeting with the MPs. Thank you very much for organising that. This is the way things will start to change. Pressure comes from within the Parliament to do something. It will tend to happen. So thank you for that. And of course, the entertainment this afternoon is question time. So it'll be good for you all to see that. So thank you very much for all coming and supporting this great cause. Thank you.